This was me 8 years ago, and this is me now, and I get to maintain a lean physique year round. So in this video, I'm gonna explain how to make so much progress, it feels like cheating. This is episode 10 of my Lean and Strong series, where I am dropping all of the secrets, everything you need to know to become lean, strong, and healthy without extremes. First thing you need to do if you want to make so much progress that it feels like cheating is you should be tracking your macros and following flexible dieting. I've said it before and I'll say it again, this is not about doing a diet, this is about making it a sustainable long-term lifestyle. There's no need to do a diet like keto or fasting or cutting out an entire macronutrient completely or cutting out any food groups. Yes, those things can work, but you have to ask yourself, are those things sustainable? That's why I like to teach my clients how to incorporate flexible dieting into their routine. The reason you're not getting lean is because you don't know how much to eat to reach the goals that you have. Nutrition is the foundation of everything. Workouts and training are very important as well, but even if you're working out consistently, you're exercising, you're still not going to see results if your nutrition is not in alignment with your goal. Macronutrients are the fundamentals, the foundation of nutrition, the carbs, the fat, and the protein that you eat in a day. So by tracking them, you're no longer playing a guessing game with your nutrition. Because eating healthy or just being mindful with your food or guesstimating portion sizes ain't gonna cut it, sweetheart, if you really want to change how your body looks. When I first started tracking macros in 2018, that is when my physique really started to transform and take off because it was no longer a guessing game with my nutrition. Tracking macros is not restrictive, it's a tool that builds self-awareness. It helps you see the holes and the gaps in your nutrition and also brings awareness to your eating habits. When you start tracking your food, it's a very eye-opening experience. Some of you are gonna be like, wow, I didn't know I was eating this little calories. It literally brings awareness to your nutrition habits and shows you, puts a mirror in front of you, this is why you're not seeing results. And if you feel restricted when you're tracking macros, then you're simply doing that to yourself. Because when you track macros, it doesn't automatically mean that you're doing a diet and now all you can eat is chicken and salads. I eat carbs every day, I eat chocolate every day, I can still go out to eat and enjoy fun foods in moderation, and that is why tracking macros is such a great skill to have if you want to maintain a lean physique year-round, because you know how to eat properly to not only see results, but maintain your results for the rest of your life. Tracking macros is not something you have to do forever, but it is something that will set you up for success forever. Which brings me to step number 2. If you want to make so much progress that it feels like cheating, then you also need to be tracking your data. And by data, I mean weighing yourself, taking your measurements, and taking your progress photos. I know some of you are afraid of stepping on the scale, and I get it. For 2 years, almost 2 years, I did not weigh myself. This was back when I was overweight and I was unhealthy, and I realized that I was avoiding the scale out of shame. But avoiding something is doing nothing to solve the problem. In fact, it's just making it even worse. You cannot run and hide from your problems. You've got to face it head on. And if you want to get lean, if you want to lose body fat, then you need to be aware of how much you weigh. It's not an obsessive thing to weigh yourself daily. In fact, I actually recommend it. And it's also not a bad thing to want to lose weight and set weight loss goals. What gets measured gets managed. And there's been studies done that by simply weighing yourself, you're more likely to lose the weight because you're putting awareness there, you're putting energy and focus and effort there. Just like when you have a savings goal or you want to improve your finances, you probably start tracking your spending. So if you have a weight loss goal, you should be tracking your food. You should be tracking your weight. It is simply data and that is it. It does not need to be an emotional thing. It does take time to heal internally because if you get emotional when you weigh yourself, that means you're equating your worth to a number on the scale. For me, I can weigh myself and I feel zero emotion because I don't look at it from an emotional lens. I look at it from a neutral lens and simply as data. And I actually do recommend weighing yourself more often because let me know if you have been stuck in this before, but let's say you went 6 to 12 months without weighing yourself. You step on the scale and you're like, holy crap, I'm 10 to 20 pounds heavier or maybe even more than what you thought you weighed. That could have been avoided had you weighed yourself more often. You would have started noticing the number climbing up, and maybe that would have caused you to change your habits, to pay more attention to what you're eating, maybe actually be consistent with your training. But if you avoid something for 6 to 12 months, 1, maybe even almost 2 years like I did, you step on the scale and it's like, wow, a lot of damage has been done, versus if you actually track and measure your weight, you're more likely to improve it. Which is why we also need to be tracking our progress photos and taking our measurements too. The scale is one pinpoint of data, but it doesn't tell us the whole story. Sometimes you could be up a pound or two due to water retention, but maybe you lost an inch on your waist. Or maybe your weight is maintaining, but your body composition looks so much different because you're losing fat and you are building muscle. Lean and strong women, they track their data. They do not avoid the scale. They're not afraid of taking progress photos. And if you're afraid of taking pictures of yourself, if you're afraid of stepping on the scale, then I highly encourage you to do so, because that's the only way to overcome your fear. And use that as motivation to get yourself to a place where you can step on the scale and it's not an emotional thing. You can take progress photos and you actually feel good about your progress. You feel confident in your body. You will get there by simply doing the habits and the rituals and checking off the daily boxes to get to your goal. But you are not going to make progress if you don't do step number 3, which is to train effectively, not just more. It's quality over quantity. And if you're someone right now who's doing 6 to 7 workouts per week, you're doing 2 workouts in one day, you, honey, are doing too much, okay? You need to chill. And that used to be me. After about 2 to 3 years into my fitness journey, that's when I became on the opposite end of the spectrum, and I became very obsessive with exercise, and I was very obsessive with macros, and it was in an unhealthy way. I thought I had to work out 6 times per week to get leaner, to get more toned. I thought I had to do so much cardio, which I was doing HIIT interval sprint sessions. I was doing 10,000 steps per day. I was doing 20 to 30 minutes on the Stairmaster and weight training 6 times per week, and that was all in 1 week. I thought that more meant better, but in reality, it was really just running my body into the ground. I was so tired. I was so fatigued. I was feeling more inflamed. My body was really stressed out, and I was having huge afternoon crashes. Like, I would literally almost fall asleep at like 2 p.m. I had no energy at all. And to make it worse, I was also pairing that with a lower calorie diet. I was trying to put myself on 1,500 calories and do a calorie deficit. But what that led me to do is, because I was eating too little for my body and I was exercising too much, it just led me to binge on tons of snacks and food. And then I just put myself in a calorie surplus. So I had these 2 different extremes. You don't need to be doing that much to get lean and build muscle. Now I only weight train 4 times per week. I do 0 cardio, and I have 3 full rest days. I promise you, if you're someone who's doing 6 to 7 workouts per week right now, you are 1000% going to make faster progress if you actually pull back on that. And I even recommend 3 to 4 workouts per week is a really great sweet spot. 5 workouts per week max, but you really don't need more than that, because what a lot of women don't know is you actually build muscle on your recovery days. So when you're sleeping and when you're resting, that is when your body is repairing itself and rebuilding that muscle tissue. You're not actually building muscle during your workout. You're breaking your muscle fibers down, and then on your rest days, that's when you're recovering and rebuilding. So if you only give your body 1 or even 0 days to recover, you are of course not going to see progress. It's not about more workouts, it's about better quality workouts. It's not about doing more and more exercises either. You don't need to be in the gym for 2 to 3 hours, and you should not be in the gym for 2 to 3 hours a day. You should not be doing 10, 11, 12 plus exercises in your workout. I've had workouts where I've only had 3 exercises. That is it. 3 exercises on one of my leg days. That was in the past program I was doing a few months ago. Now my leg days are about 4 exercises long, maybe 5 max, but like that's the maximum, because you're actually going to see faster progress if you push yourself with progressive overload and you make those workouts more effective by really training hard, not by doing more and more and more, but actually building muscle and getting stronger over time. And progressive overload comes in different ways. It's not just about lifting heavier. You want to be lifting as heavy as you can, but with proper form. Your workouts should actually have an intention behind them. You should not just be going up to random machines, doing some on this, some on that, or just following random things you're finding online. You need to have a structured and intentional routine, and you need to stick to it for a really long time. I actually recommend minimum is 4 to 6 weeks of a training block, but I've been on the same program for a little over 4 months now. So that means doing the same workouts again and again and again, because being boring and being repetitive is the key to building muscle and making great progress. Which brings me to step number 4. If you want to make so much progress it feels like cheating, is you need to prioritize rest, managing stress, and sleep. Growth hormone and muscle protein synthesis actually peaks when you are sleeping. So I highly recommend shooting for minimum 7 hours of sleep per night, 8 if you can. I know it depends on kids and your work schedule and things, but really try and prioritize it as much as you can. So this means do not be scrolling on your phone super late at night or just watching a Netflix show for hours and hours into the late evening, I highly recommend turning off all screens, put your phone away 30 minutes before you want to fall asleep. I promise you, you're gonna sleep so much better if you're not just scrolling on your phone till super late in the evening. And one thing that a lot of women don't ask themselves, which they should, is how can I manage my stress? You're asking yourself the wrong questions. You're asking, what supplement should I take? What fat burner is the best? Should I do more cardio? Which diet should I do? No, honey, ask yourself, how can I manage my stress more? Because if you're always stressed out, your cortisol is super high, you're always in fight or flight mode, your body is not recovering as well, you're not gonna sleep as well, and stress can impact our appetite. Some of you, when you're stressed, turn to food to cope. So by you turning for comfort foods because you're so stressed out all the time, you're actually putting yourself in a calorie surplus, which causes fat gain. On the flip side, maybe some of you are like me, where I'm the opposite. When I'm stressed out, I don't eat, I skip meals, and that's also not good. So you wanna make sure that you're fueling your body, and managing your stress is so key. We're not gonna get rid of stress in our lives. We're always gonna have something to stress about. That is just a part of being human, but you do need to find ways to cope with your stress outside of food, outside of alcohol, outside of smoking. You need to find something that's actually productive that is gonna help your mental health, which I find to be living a healthy lifestyle is one of the best things you can do to manage stress. Getting a workout in to just let out some steam, that's 1 hour you get to have to yourself. You deserve to show up for yourself, and you deserve to pour time into yourself. And even going for a walk outside, or doing some stretching, or calling up an old friend or a family member just to talk about how you're feeling is also a very productive way to manage your stress too. I find that when I have structure and I am disciplined, it actually creates room for less chaos and less stress in my life, because I walk into Mondays with a plan, because I use Sundays to prepare ahead of time for the week. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, you have a lot on your plate, you feel like you have no time in the day to accomplish something, then I want you to do this exercise. Number one, you're going to do a time and energy audit. Dan Martell talks about this a lot. So what that is you're literally going to write down for every 30-minute increment in your day, you're going to write down on a piece of paper and document what you did. This way you can actually see, where are you spending your time? Oftentimes it's not about that you need more time, you just need to replace the bad habits that you're spending time on with better habits. Because let's be honest, we all scroll on our phone, we all watch Netflix, we all go out to eat. So if you're spending a lot of time doing those things, it's not that you need more time, you just need to take some of that time where you're scrolling, you're watching Netflix, or maybe you're just doing dumb things that aren't even being productive. Just swap those habits for things that are actually going to get you closer to your goal. Swap a scrolling session for a meal prep session. Swap sitting at a restaurant for an hour for instead getting a workout in. It's about looking for windows of opportunity in your day to invest time into yourself and your goals. Second thing you're going to do is you're going to start using one day on the week, a day that you have off. It doesn't have to be Sunday, it can be whatever day works best for you, to plan out your schedule and your goals for the week ahead. Walk into the week with a plan. I promise you, you're going to feel a lot less overwhelmed when you have your schedule already laid out, your meals are planned out, you know when you're getting your workouts in. It's a lot less overwhelming walking into Monday morning, or when you start your week, when you have an actual plan. Because chaos starts when there is no plan. It's no wonder you're feeling stressed all the time, because you're not time blocking your schedule, you're not making a to-do list, you're not organizing your thoughts, you're not meal prepping, you're not planning your workouts in. Everything is just kind of like, let's see what happens today, but you got to try and plan as much as you can. Which brings me to tip number 5, is to have systems in your life that make it easier to stay on track when life does get chaotic and stressful. Because let's be honest, there's always going to be curveballs that are thrown into our life. I just had a huge curveball and a huge bomb drop off in the business last week, and those things are always going to happen. So I, as a business owner, as a successful woman who wants to be healthy and lean and strong year round, I need to have systems in place to help me at least stay somewhat consistent during the busy and stressful times. If you want to be successful and you want to make progress and you want to actually be ahead and reach the goals that you have, you can't treat your fitness journey as this extra hobby that you do when you have the free time. You can't just focus on your goals when it's convenient for you. You have to be willing to double down and still maintain this lifestyle when work gets more crazy, when you are thrown for a curveball, when you are stressed out, when you're super busy, because that's what lean and strong and confident women do year round. It doesn't mean that you're perfect. This past week has been really hard for me. I've actually missed a couple of workouts. I haven't really been hitting my macros, but I've been focusing on what I can control. There's always something you can do. If it's not a workout, maybe it's getting some steps in or going for a walk. Maybe it's even a stretching session. Moving your body is better than not doing anything at all. If it's not hitting your macros, maybe it's at least hitting your calories. Maybe it's at least hitting your protein goal. You have to set a bare minimum standard that you set for yourself to do even when life gets busy and overwhelming. So systems that set you up for success are what I just talked about. A system that I do every Sunday is I take time to plan out my goals and my schedule for the week. That's a system that I implement so I can go into my week feeling in more control. I don't rely on motivation. I don't rely on how I'm feeling. I rely on my systems and my goals to stay consistent when life gets crazy. Another system is meal prepping. So meal prepping your lunches for the week to set you up for success. Or you can just bulk prep some protein sources. You could have some carb sources in there. You can make it super easy. Even buying cooked protein sources and microwave rice and mixed frozen veggies. Then you just throw those into your meal. It can actually be super convenient and easy to stay on track with your nutrition if you're doing quick and simple things like that. What my husband and I have been doing recently is we found a local meal prep company and we buy cooked proteins by 2 pounds. So we just got 4 pounds of cooked chicken, 4 pounds of cooked steak for the week. This way I have time to do this. I'm filming this video for you guys because I have a system that sets me up for success. So this week is going to be very busy for me too. We are all busy. We all have a lot on our plate, but because I implement these systems, the meal prep service, and I plan out my schedule for the week, those two things help me stay on track when life is busy and chaotic. You don't need more motivation. You do not need more willpower to be successful. You need systems in your life. So to put all of this together, I want you to, number one, start tracking things. Become a woman who is data-driven in her fitness journey, not emotionally driven. Track your food, start tracking your macros, start tracking your weight and your measurements, and start taking your progress photos. Number two is to get on a structured and intentional plan. No more working out 6 to 7 days per week. No more doing 2 workouts in one day. Even 3 to 5 workouts per week is enough. Number three, prioritize rest, recovery, and manage your stress as often as you can. And finally, fuel your body. This is not about doing a diet. This is not about cutting out carbs or doing fasting. This is about viewing food as actual fuel for your goals. And if you do these things consistently year round, I promise you're going to make more progress and it's going to feel like cheating because now you're focusing on the things that matter. Too many women are focused on things that don't matter, like burning more calories, sweating more in their workouts, doing more workouts, doing the next diet or the next trend. You've got to make this a lifestyle and you need to have the foundation in place if you want to be successful year round. And yes, you can do all of this while still eating carbs and chocolate and enjoying your life and having some fun here and there, which I'm going to break down in my next video. I'll be giving you the exact game plan of how I would go from skinny fat to toned and lean and give you the step-by-step blueprint without doing a diet and still eating carbs every day. So make sure you subscribe for that next episode. But if you want to learn how to be so consistent it feels illegal, then I want you to click on this next video here.